All right, so this is chapter 3, video number 5. This is the last video where we kind of put things all together. So in the first video, we discussed our measures of central tendency. How do we describe what the center is? And we talked about mean, median, and mode. The second video, we introduced range and IQR and basically just talked about how range is useless and IQR is the wave of the future. Now, after that, we discussed standard deviation. We talked about how standard deviation of the sample and population are a little bit different, but standard deviation goes very, very nicely with our mean. And if we do have a mean and standard deviation, we're able to calculate different percentages. So here's where we're at. We're at the point now where we have to decide, so what do we use? So here are two different power couples. Mean and standard deviation go together. They are a couple. Whenever you see a mean, you should see a standard deviation reported next to it to describe how things are spread out. And for our second power couple, we have median and IQR. Now let's talk about mean and standard deviation. Mean and standard deviation are influenced by outliers. They're very, very influenced by outliers. And we saw that in this. Whereas if we are skewed to the left with an outlier, our mean is drugged down with it. And if we're skewed to the right, our mean is drugged up with it. So mean and standard deviation only really work well with nice symmetric unimodal data, nice pretty data. Because that mean and that standard deviation will be affected by outliers. So whenever we see data that looks like this, awesome, mean and standard deviation. And there are a lot of calculations that we're going to be able to do with mean and standard deviation. Kind of what we're going for, but sometimes data aren't as pretty as what we want them to be. So whenever we see something that is skewed to the left, skewed to the right, possibly bimodal, maybe even multimodal, whenever we have anything that is not beautifully symmetric, you need to use the median and IQR because these are not influenced by outliers, not influenced by things that are skewed. So putting this all together, if we have nice clean data where everything is symmetric and unimodal, we're going to go with our mean and our standard deviation. However, if anything is skewed or multimodal or bimodal, we're going to have to find a way to get rid of those outliers. So the way we do that is by using our median and our IQR.